Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Travel Alert. I am Paul Glenn in Lincoln, Nebraska, and we've got
Steve Glenn here, coming to you from Montone, Italy.
surprise, surprise, Steve's in Italy. What do you got going on over there this week?
Oh, I'm just checking on Hotel Fortebraccio. We acquired a hotel in Umbria, Italy, and we're moving it from a 3-star Italian hotel to a 4-star boutique hotel, Paul, as you know. And so we're everything from every inch of this place is just getting a rehab or putting down new flooring, new everything, basically. And so I'm over here making sure everything's going on plan. So I'm excited to come to you. Thanks for joining us today, and welcome to the Weekly Travel Alert.
It's a rough life you live there, Steve.
Well, it's a wet one right now. We're getting rain here in Montone. How's it in Lincoln, Nebraska, Mr. Paul?
I think today there is a chance for some rain later, so definitely don't need the sunglasses today.
I'll tell you, we've had perfect weather here, though, up for the last 5 or 6 days. And I love Italy in September, October. Paul, what about you?
I think September, October is the shoulder season. You get that 60s, 70s, and 80s for the temperatures over there. So I think as long as you got some time that you're not getting the rain, it's a perfect time to be over there. The crowds are down. It's just, you couldn't ask for anything better.
You know, and they're starting their olive production here next month, and they're doing the white truffle can be hunted starting in another week. And so that's a prized thing, is the white truffle. We've got all the fall festivals, the harvest festivals, and of course, guess when it is when all the wine comes about? It's in the fall. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're thinking about, I want to go to Italy, think about September, October, even November. Great time to be here.
And you're going to be there for 3 weeks straight, 3 or 4 weeks straight here, October, November?
Yeah, I come back and then leave on October 24th, and I think I'm here 3 weeks. About then, that'll be the longest I think I've ever been away from home. I'm usually kind of a 6 or 7 day guy, and after that, I kind of get nervous. I want to get back in my own bed. So it'll be good to get home, but man, we're making great progress.
Good. Well, let's jump into this week's Weekly Travel Alert. For the first headline this week, we've got Airlines shatter records with $148 billion with a B in extra fees.
You bet. Paul, this is amazing. I did the research and found out, as we've also suspected, that airlines are nickel and diming all the customers. Think about it. $148 billion they raked in 2024. That's for add-on fees like baggage fees, seat selection, priority boarding, and the yearbook of ancillary revenue by IdeaWorks company came up with all these numbers, and they calculated them from all the airlines. But I think it's shocking to a lot of people. And when you find out the next headline, Paul, you're going to be even more shocked, and I'll walk through that with you.
Yeah, so headline number 2 on this week's Weekly Travel Alert, low-cost carriers turn add-ons into gold.
Paul, this one is just shocking to me. So we took a budget airline, Frontier, right? And we said, okay, how much do they generate for every $100 they charge in airline tickets? And Paul, this one shocked me. 62% of their total revenue comes from the nickel and dime fees for seat assignments, baggage, all that stuff. So basically, when you buy a $100 ticket on Frontier Airlines, you pay $161 in ancillary charges. So if you paid $300, you'd have basically an average of, what is that? 300 times 3 times 160, you'd have $480 in fees. I once told somebody, if you want a free airline ticket on Frontier, you may want to turn it down because it won't be free.
Definitely want to weigh all that stuff out. And I think that's some of the things, and obviously some of the reasons you use a professional travel agency and advisor is to help guide you through those things so that you don't end up with a $500 expense that you thought was going to be $300. So definitely I think that's a shocker and something that people need to be aware of. The next headline is legacy airlines embrace the basic economy playbook.
And here we have basically, Paul, United, American, Delta. They basically looked at the low-cost model and said, hey, we need to make more revenue. We're going to start charging. They put in basic economy fares, which basically are no frills, but you get nothing and you have to pay for everything, right? So with that, that's generated a lot of revenue for them. And then last year, there was, I think, $28 billion just in those three major
carriers. Yeah, yeah. So I think that's
$9 billion apiece they make on charging you for those seat assignments that when you buy the basic economy or the checked luggage or all the fees to change and all that thing. So,
or even sometimes carry-on luggage is got fees with some of these carriers. So yeah, just all the little things that add up.
And last week, you recall, our readers probably recall that we talked about how one of the Mideast carriers was implementing, I call it basic business. So they're going to, we think American, United, and Delta will now come in and put basic business class, international business class fares in and have 2 levels of business class. So you may not get lounge access or seat assignments or anything like that. And they'll charge you an extra hundreds and hundreds of dollars so they can generate more revenue there.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that, as we look at it, where does a basic economy ticket make sense? And I think, if it was you or me and we're going to do a 2 or 3 day trip where we don't have a lot that we need to take with us and we know that we're going to go, then I think that's something to consider. But what we find with 95% of our corporate travelers, they just don't make sense because in addition to the fees, there's zero flexibility. So I think that's the other thing to consider when we look at, the route that the airlines are going with some of these things that they're doing and where does it make sense and where does it not. So the next headline we've got today, Southwest and Frontier redefine their cabins.
Well, and we've been talking about Southwest Airlines for a long, long time. And, they were known as the bags fly free. Well, guess what? They said, if there's all these billions out there, I think, Paul, don't you feel like Wall Street kind of forced them into this?
Yeah, they had an investment group that over the last 12 to 18 months was getting very vocal about the profitability not being where it needed to be. So I do feel like that's the primary driver to this. But in the end, I think it will be, kind of equalize them with the big three here domestically, having multiple cabins on the airplane. And so I think that actually positions them to be more viable for a corporate traveler moving forward.
Well, and they're going to put in premium seats, so they're going to have differentiated seats so they can charge more for. And so is Frontier is going to come in with some what people call a first class type of seat. So the whole thing is you're going to be probably buying packages. They'll package up certain things. Let's say a bigger seat, a seat assignment, luggage, luggage included, ability to change. For no additional cost. So all those things I think are going to come. And the whole the bottom line for all this, Paul, is think about when you buy your airline ticket. In the case of Frontier, you've got 61% more, 62% more that you're going to pay on top of that. Now, it won't mean the major carriers like United and Delta and American will charge that much, but it's not uncommon to, for example, an international ticket with their basic economy ticket internationally to charge $150 each way for the luggage. Mm-hmm. So you'll pay $300 more to buy that basic economy international ticket. And you and I were talking a couple weeks ago how we found them for $600. Mm-hmm. Well, add $300 on top of it, and you just paid 33% more for your ticket just to take bags. It's really going to be an interesting road to hoe, and I sense the airlines, now that they've figured this out, are all going to jump in feet first, and here come the dominoes.
Yep. Well, I think they're chasing the money. They've had some struggles here with, as we've talked about before, significant increases in their expense lines, with labor being one of those that's gone up dramatically over the last couple years. So now they're having to figure out how to get the revenue to align with that. And obviously, when you're talking billions of dollars in fees, miscellaneous fees that have all come into the market over the last couple years, that's part of the strategy there.
I wanted to share with the people, I've been thinking through what all this means for everybody, what we just talked about.
Okay.
And what it really means is gone are the days of basically all-inclusive pricing for airline tickets. And people are just going to have to be aware of it, and just like we talked before. And I wanted to make people be aware that it really is going to be a different world, and they need to just be aware of it. What we want to do is make sure they're aware of all these fees so they don't get to the airport and are shocked.
Moving on to the next one we've got here for our headline on the weekly travel alert, ESTA fee doubles.
Now, what is ESTA? We have a lady, Ann Fulby Olson, that lives in Greece, right?
Mm-hmm.
She comes to the States to work with our team, and she has to get an ESTA, which is an electronic system for travel authorization, okay? And she has to pay for that, and it usually was $21, and now it's going to be $40, but the good news is it's good for 2 years.
Okay, was it not good for 2 years prior?
They could do it for 90 days, before. Now it's up to 2 years. So I think if you're coming to the U.S. like she is a lot, this is probably the greatest thing since sliced bread.
It's a better deal, yeah. It's a better deal. But if you're just coming over here one time, you're getting doubled down on.
Yeah, it's not a positive. So, surprise, surprise, the fees are going to double. But in this case, there may be a silver lining to it.
Yeah, good. Well, what else do you have for us from Italy this week?
Well, I'll tell you once again, it's just great to travel this time of year, and I encourage people to do it. And I was reminded of, you better get going on your Christmas travel plan, shouldn't you, Paul?
Yeah, well, you and I were talking about, do we want to do New Year's? Last year I did Christmas and New Year's over in Italy, and it was a great time to be over there. We got lucky with some beautiful weather and made some amazing memories. But yeah, kids are back in school. Fall breaks coming on us quickly. I know with my youngest, we've already got parent-teacher conferences this week. So the school year is going rapidly. Every day seems to go quicker. And if you're going to do something over the holiday season, now would be the time to start looking at that.
Well, and also, even if you're traveling domestically to grandmother's house, you better get booking your airline tickets, because when is Christmas this year? Isn't it on a Wednesday?
I am not sure off the top of my head.
I think New Year's is.
Okay.
New Year's Eve, maybe, which means probably those weekends before or after are going to be pretty full.
Mm-hmm.
And because people probably want to extend if they can, stay as long as they can. So I would encourage people, now's the time, start looking for your Christmas airline tickets, especially if you're going domestically and also internationally. But it's a good time. And also, Paul, what do we have coming up this weekend?
This weekend we're doing our company meeting. So I was chatting up before we went into record mode here. We've got 4 new employees that we've flown in from all over the country that are in here doing training for the week. And then Saturday we will fly in the rest of the team members and do an afternoon of training, some updates. We've got one of our technology vendors coming in, so we'll get some good stuff there to talk about some of the changes specific to what we've talked about on the podcast here today with those ancillary fees and how to be able to book those in some of the legacy technologies. So a lot of that, but then following that, we're going to do our 40th anniversary celebration, and the good old band, Three Dog Night, is playing at the outdoor auditorium. I don't know what do you call that?
Pinewood Bowl.
The amphitheater, Pinewood Bowl Amphitheater. So I think we got quite a few of the team members that'll be joining us for a fun evening out for that.
40 years. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us today, everybody.
Please like, subscribe, share, and add any comments or feedback on topics that would be of interest for future episodes. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.